Hey guys, this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan. So today I'm going to give you my thoughts about Dr. Doug Graham's Grain Damage, a book I've never read, strangely enough, after all these years. And here's why. You guys know that we mainly raw vegan, maybe about 80-90%, fruits, vegetables, and the other 10% will be some steamed or boiled legumes or rice or potatoes, stuff like that, high carb foods still. However, we get a lot of comments, especially when Angie makes one of her recipe videos with some cooked foods, from hardcore fruitarians. They'll be telling us, read Grain Damage. You'll see, once you read Dr. Graham's Grain Damage, you'll see that, this stuff's not really good for human health and I'll probably want to stop eating it. And so, I'm the kind of guy that's going to take that kind of challenge up. I'm always looking for the truth about nutrition. I'm looking for the truth about everything. So here's what I did. Well, first of all, let me tell you, Dr. Doug Graham, huge influence on me. I don't know where I'd be today without having read 80-10-10. Probably the most influential book I've read in my life on diet and nutrition. I also have his most recent book too, Prevention and Care of Athletic Injuries. Yeah, I got it right. It's changed the way I warm up and cool down when I'm exercising, and if I ever get injured, it's changed the way I look at that too. So huge. Doug Graham has been a huge influence on me. So when I was reading Grain Damage, I'm looking for two things. I'm on my eyes on the lookout for information he presents about how natural the food it is for humans to be eating and how healthy it is for us humans to be eating. And to help me sort it out, I'm cross-checking lots of Dr. Graham's claims with claims from the Starch Solution author, Dr. Mc Dougall, who knows quite a bit about how starches work in the human body too. And for those of you who don't know, he's also a high-carb vegan, but he's not a raw vegan. He's primarily starches with a few vegetables and fruits thrown in. So let's get right down to it. Well, in Grain Damage, Dr. Graham discusses how paleontologists have recorded that humans have been walking around the earth for nearly 10 million years without the use of any grains. And modern man, as most of us know, have been cultivating grains for only roughly the past 10,000 years. So I guess, their assumption is that it's a relatively new addition to our long-standing diet. And actually, Dr. Mc Dougall says something about this on video. Let's see what he says.
When you look back through history, and you can go back 2.5 million years, and you see that the bulk of human beings have lived on starch-based diets. We have evidence from 44,000 years ago that said that the Neanderthals lived on starches. And from 30,000 years ago, we have population studies in Europe that talk about people living on starch-based diets. I mean, that's pre-agriculture, so they say. That's pre-civilization, so they say.
So as you see, it's not entirely clear that humans have been eating grains for only 10,000 years. It looks like from the most recent research that we've been eating it for quite a much longer time than that. But, that's no big deal. That really doesn't sway me either way. Dr. Graham does, though, go off on how the nutrition for cooked food has been compromised. He says what remains after the cooking are the calories. And he says, therefore, when we eat starches, we consume the maximum number of calories with the minimum amount of nutrients. So, it sounds pretty hardcore. That's why a lot of us go raw, is to keep the maximum amount of nutrients in the food. So I just looked up cooked brown rice on Chronometer to get its nutritional profile. And I compared it to dates, an equal roughly amount of calories of dates. And you'll see, a fruit like dates, it has a lot more vitamins than brown rice. But you'll see brown rice is not devoid of minerals as well. I mean, surprisingly, considering what Doug Graham said there, you'd think there'd be next to no minerals. But as you see, there's quite a few minerals. It's very mineral rich. In fact, it kicks dates' butt on a couple of those minerals there. So I'm not so convinced that cooking rice or whatever destroys all the minerals from rice. All right, one of the biggies that Dr. Graham points out is that grains are loaded with something known as phytic acid. And those of us into nutrition may know that it's known as an anti-nutrient. because it binds with minerals, particularly zinc and calcium, and prevents those minerals from being absorbed when we eat them. So yeah, it sounds pretty bad. You want to get your minerals, since grains aren't supposed to have a lot of minerals. Well, anyway, Dr. McDougall addresses this very issue in his January 2008 newsletter on his website, and refers us to 3 studies done on phytic acid absorption. And basically the bottom line is this: as long as the stuff's been soaked, germinated, boiled, cooked, or fermented, all those processes inactivate phytic acid and therefore free up the minerals for absorption. And again, Dr. McDougall gives us 3 footnotes to studies done on this that show phytic acid's not a problem. So I'm going to go with that over grain damage, because unfortunately Doug does not give any footnotes to any studies anywhere throughout his book. So it's just kind of a matter of like trust, take his word for it, versus I think what's a stronger argument on McDougall's side, since he has 3 studies to back that up. So Doug Graham also brings up a really good point that grains contain substantial quantities of acid-forming minerals. So when you're digesting, the body must yield up calcium from bones to neutralize that effect. And as he says, eventually people on a high-grain diet run predictably low on calcium, often resulting in a common bone-thinning condition known as osteoporosis. Again, unfortunately, no footnotes to back that up about people on high-grain diets get osteoporosis. I'd like to know if that was true or not. Well, Dr. McDougall addresses that actually. As he points out, he said, first of all, there has been some research, and the limited research shows that grains do not increase calcium loss. And furthermore, grain-consuming populations, such as the Japanese and Chinese, have very low rates of osteoporosis, and gives no less than 2 footnotes to back that up as well. So again, I feel that Dr. Graham hasn't reached the burden of proof here. He said what he said, but we don't have anything to back that up. It just sounds more like an opinion than a fact. So I'm going to again have to side with McDougall here. Grains do not seem to acidify people or cause osteoporosis. Are grains addictive? We get told this often from people who don't like how we eat grains. And Dr. Graham believes that they are addicting. He's done some just kind of informal research asking thousands of people, he says, what type of food they're most likely to binge on out of fruits, veggies, proteins, fats, or starches. And he says the answer is almost always starches. So he concludes from this that we're somehow wanting to binge on them. They must be addicting. They have some kind of grip on us. Well, Dr. McDougall, I'm sure, has heard this too, because he's addressing this same question on that same website, and he says, yes, you will become addicted to grains. He agrees, but not for the kinds of reasons you may think. He says, just like you have become addicted to water and the oxygen and air, the human body is designed to enjoy and become satiated by carbohydrates, both simple, like fruits, and complex, sugars, starches. Not surprising, since this substance is our intended fuel. So that makes a lot of sense. I'm hardcore addicted to fruit, hardcore addicted to waking up every morning and blending up a bunch of bananas and berries and other seasonal fruit and pounding that sucker down. That's what my body is designed to run on. Same thing at nighttime, if Angie's blowing up some kind of like stew with potatoes and rice, I take a smell of that too and go, oh my God, I can't wait to devour that. So if I'm addicted to starches, I'm addicted to fruit as well. Why? Because our body was designed to run on carbohydrates. All right, speaking of energy and athletic performance, I don't need Dr. McDougall for this one. Dr. Graham says that with a belly full of starch, most people are capable of no more than lying down and falling asleep in front of the television. Well, I know what that feeling's like. That's the feeling I used to have back when I ate a more standard American diet, or at least a high-fat diet. But eating a high-carb diet, I feel the same. Honestly, if I eat a high-carb fruit diet, I feel great and have tons of energy and can exercise and go outside and run around. Same thing, give me a bowl of rice or some ugali or corn, which is the staple diet of Kenyan runners. I feel great. I want to go out and exercise and run. So I'm not saying that no one feels like all what he's talking about, all sleepy and tired after starches, but doesn't affect me or Angie that way, and apparently doesn't affect the Kenyans that way, so I don't think that argument is that strong. So what do you think, guys? Is that 85% raw diet going to do me bad with that 15%, starch food. From what I've seen here in grain damage, I actually don't see any reason why I should stop what I'm doing. I don't see my health going down from like phytic acid or becoming acidified. I didn't mention too, on my last blood test, about 6 months ago, I've been eating the way I have been eating, and I had a urine pH of 8.0, which is very alkaline, so the little bit of rice I'm getting is not making me acidic. So I'm going to keep on keeping on. I would like to see, maybe in the future, if Doug Graham did a follow-up to grain damage and had some more studies, so to back up these claims. That would be awesome. That would strengthen his argument. And I want to make it clear, I am not an enemy of Doug Graham in any way, shape, or form. He's a teacher, and I respect him greatly. And if I were to see him again, I hope he wouldn't look at me and point out, oh, there's that mean guy or anything like that. I'm gonna stay away from that jerk. No, maybe we can have a talk about this. I'm all about rational discussion. As you guys know, I have a degree in philosophy. I went to grad school in philosophy, and part of that involved having to read my teachers, my professors' books, and not always agree with them and have to be critical of them too. It's just how I am. It's nothing personal. It's just about me on my quest for truth. So post your questions and comments down below. I suspect I'll get a few on this one, but again, keep it rational. Just don't call me a jerk or something like that, because I may just end up deleting that. Keep it calm, keep it rational. And if you haven't already, subscribe up above for more from Happy Healthy Vegan. Not all our episodes are like this. Angie's got food recipe demos. We got more lifestyle stuff coming, so stay tuned for more from us guys. So until next time, as I'm gonna do, keep it carved, baby. Keep it carved.
It's a sleight of hand, conjurer's trick of the smoke, and it's gone. Don't you get